you are on a pilgrimage, sometimes you meet people who were there before you. The wild west coast of Eyre Peninsula is full of wonderful surprises. One of them is its first pioneer, Mark Archer. Here is his story. 35 years ago, a young surf bum packed his stuff and traveled by car to the wild remote spots of the Australian coastline in search of waves. There, where the waves hammer into the shoreline day after day, surfer Mark Archer was drawn to the ghost town of Colton, midway up the Lincoln Highway. At the end, this pioneer surfer was called the Bushbaker.
I was from Sydney, New South Wales. Came from Northern Beaches and inner Sydney as well, we lived. And she was a full hike then. The cars back in the late 60s, early 70s, the best cars any surfers would be driving would be FCs or FBs. And they weren't built for the heat, so they always boiled. So the trip on itself was major. But every trip had a story to go with it. In the end, we found the best thing to do was when you turned your car on, when you started the trip, don't turn it off. So the whole way driving over, we'll be running into service stations, pumping the fuel in, keeping the car running and driving off, which they don't let you do that anymore. So they were exciting days, yeah, driving. Well, surfing then, it was always frontiering, wherever you went, because there wasn't that many surfers for a start. Even the south coast of New South Wales, you could go down there during the week and you wouldn't see anyone then in the early 70s. So every trip was, you're always looking for waves, because they weren't known, most waves weren't known. And the guys before us found the ones that we followed, and they all found the good ones. And if you watch all the old surf movies, all those places that Paul Witzig shot in the early days, and they were the only ones there, they're now packed with people, because he went to the best places. And Cactus was one of them. Well, we're living in Cactus and shacks, and we decided it started to get busy up there, and the winters are ferociously cold, the mice were intense, and more people started coming, so off we went again looking for waves. The first trip we didn't quite make it in the FB. We had a lot of dramas, tyres and water, if I remember correctly. Went back, rebounded, hit Streaky Bay, camped at Granites. Whereas back in those days you had to go through 3 farmer's gates to get to Granites. So virtually you always had to have some sort of mud mat. So go to the front, camp at Granites for a week, and just this perfect wave every night. But we didn't realise that it never got much better than what it was, because we were expecting it to peel off and be powerful and tube and all the rest. And it is a good wave, but not what we were looking for. So kept driving and ended up at Elliston, and no one there. But there was no surfers here, and we surfed there all 2 or 3 days, just never saw a soul. Wandered around, found this place, and of course back in those days surfers weren't very popular. They had this reputation, which is all true, I presume, now that I look back. So we went around, found out who owned this place, and went and asked them if we could stay here, which is unusual because the town was empty. There was nothing in Elliston. The place here itself was going through a 3 or 4 year drought. So because of the drought, it was offshore all the time. So all winter it was just offshore, northeast all the time. I think at Cactus we had a 35 or 6 day run. There was just waves all the time, so this was like heaven. So yeah, got this place and found the farmer, got this place, and even though it's 20 k's out of town, it was pretty good compared to how we've been living. So this was paradise.
And paradise is exactly what he was looking for. He built it with his mates, and he stayed until now. And there's still a lot of magic around his house.
There was this significant tree back then, and it was a lot healthier at the top, so you could see it for miles around. And if you've been on the Eyre Peninsula, there's not many trees like this, I can assure you, and it's right in my front yard. And I've had people come here and hold hands all the way around it, because they said this is the heart of the whole area that it surrounds.
On his ground, he also built some other things for his passion besides surfing. For example, a golf green.
Of course, with the hole, I've got one of my most treasured possessions, my old FB holding ute. Now you see that tip there? That's all about, everything you see around this place is built on rubbish.
Now a significant part of his day is spent in the bakery he built, next to the abandoned ruin he renovated and made into a home for his wife and kids.
I bake bread, and I just sell it out on the highway to tourist trade and local traffic and a few of the locals. So this was a bundle of school, and it was just operated by a mistress. So I got it, pulled it down, built it here. If you pull this building down, the oven would still be here. People came to stay here and they were from the city or Sydney or somewhere, and you left them at home, they'd go mad. One guy stayed out there until he could flag a car down so he had someone to talk to. But nowadays, with cars being as good, the road is there's just non-stop. There's people non-stop.
It's a pack that allows Mark to hit the waves or explore the mysteries of his own backyard. A bush baker and a real surf pioneer of southwestern Australia forever.